Event freelancers, welcome to your new community, connecting you to your next project. Get connected. Sign up now. It's free.
Hello, welcome to this Connektd session. My name is Steve Squires. I'm an event consultant, producer and project director based in London and founder of Connektd, your freelance community. What has become even more apparent over the last months is that the events industry is very broad and covers many different sectors. As a result, there are many of associations that cover the various areas of the industry. So who are they? What do they do? And should you be a member? We're talking to some of these associations to find out more about them. So let me welcome Andy Lenthall, General Manager of PSA, the Production Services Association. Hi Andy, and thanks for joining us.
Hi Steve, thanks for having me.
How are you? You must be busy.
Yeah, it's been relatively busy over the last few months. You know, the odd 14-hour day here and there. Just
and what have you been doing particularly?
What we've been doing in particularly, well, I guess there's a few strands to what we've been doing. There is the talking to government to convince them that they need to help us get back to work. There's talking to government to convince them that while we're waiting to get back to work, we might need funding to do so. And then it's talking to our members and the people in the broader industry about the help that's available and how they can get it. So it's basically, I guess, helping people survive through the downturn and getting the upturn closer on the horizon. Because you know it's been seeming a little bit far away, but I kind of liken it as, you know, we're helping people move towards work, and we're also trying to help work move towards people, and also outside of our reach, vaccines, mass testing, and all those kind of things do actually bring the light at the end of the tunnel a little bit closer to us as we travel towards it. So really, we've just been kind of influencing the influencers to try and get us helped back to work and help before we can get back to work. And
I guess communicating all the information that you're finding out to people in the industry, because you're getting it first in many cases.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, in the beginning, I think the resources that were open to us, the communication resources, were a little bit quicker coming to us, and we did send more information out. But it's kind of like sometimes you find yourself sending out secondhand information, because take yesterday, you know, the new tier levels, they were announced pretty much straight away, and they were up on websites, you know, pretty much immediately. So the synopsis we sent out, it was for people who were actually probably busy doing something else, and might just want an easy time to read it. So, you know, we don't kid ourselves that we'll be the first with all information. And sometimes the information that you are furnished with in advance, it's probably not wise to put it out because it changes so quickly. You know, nobody really knows what's going to be said until it's said.
And once you've said it, you can't take it back.
You don't want to be responsible for influencing somebody's decision that turns out to be a wrong decision.
No, absolutely.
You know?
Cool. So tell me, so what is the Production Services Association, and what part of the industry do you represent?
We better start with that bit, hadn't we?
Yeah, let's start with that.
All right, the PSA. It's a trade association, and let's say this. You know, this is the first session that you're recording, Steve, and we're doing great so far. So let's explain what a trade association is, so the others don't have to. A trade association is just a group of people or companies with a similar interest. That's as simple as that. And the similar interest that our members have is they are people who either have warehouses full of kit, like lights, sound, video, staging. They have yards full of trucks, and they take them to venues and they get plugged in. And the people that plug them in, the self-employed workforce and the techs, they are our members as well. So it's people, we say it's people and companies that supply technical infrastructure to live events. I've never found a better way of like crushing that down to be a little more snappy. It's a bit wordy, but that's what our members do. They take kit, they plug it in, and generally, I say we're the people who go into an empty room, turn it into an event, and then leave an empty room at the end of it. So we're not, theatre technicians have, the Association of British Theatre Technicians, and they're, they focus in that area. We really focus on, the people who go into a space and turn it into an event, whether it's a conference, whether it's a gig, or whether it's a field and a festival. The skills and the technology are very, very similar. And it's illuminate, amplify, magnify.
So I guess there's a number of different associations and sectors of the industry that look after specific kinds of events. So you've got exhibitions, you've got conferences, you've got outdoor events. You kind of cover all of those, really.
Yeah, it's really weird. There are so many associations, but there are little umbrella groups of associations that have been formed, over the past 10 or 12 years. So in the three main areas, in business events, you've got the Business Visits and Events Partnership. In outdoor events, you've got the Events Industry Forum. And by outdoor events, you can be talking festivals, but then you're talking beach races, balloon fiestas, steam fest. And then in the live music side, you've got the Live Group, and formerly the UK Live Music Group. And those three sectors all have one thing in common. Production, and our companies and our girls and boys within our membership touch on all three of those. So I have to go to all of the meetings.
Yeah, right, okay.
I am the person who knows everybody in every one.
Yeah.
So if somebody in live music wants to know if there's a trade association for steam fairs, I introduce them to the people at the trade association for steam fairs, because I go to the outdoor events one as well, that some people in the live music group won't. So it's, the promoters aren't really interested in going to see the steam fairs people, So that's, so we have to cross every sector. But of course, every one of the sectors we're involved with has closed down.
Yes,
temporarily. So this is why we're massively affected by, in every area we service.
And you're purely UK focused, aren't you?
Yeah, we are. I mean, a lot of the stuff we do revolves around legislation, whether it's tax or safety or tax and safety generally. It's paying your bills and not getting hurt. Is what we do a lot, and that's UK legislation. So it'd be very, very difficult to start sort of like going out and sort of like having a German branch and that kind of stuff. We've never really set up for that. So,
but I guess there's associations in those countries as well.
Yeah, and we talk to them. We've got a good relationship with the VPLT, and there's some guys in Poland who formed something recently, and we have good chats with those guys, and just let each other know what we're doing and what's coming up. And sometimes there are things that one country's focusing on this side and we're focusing on that. We go away, get on with it, and then share. Because on an international side, we're very close to the Event Safety Alliance in the States, simply because they wanted to get things safer in the US, and a lot of our people go and work in the US, so we kind of prefer it to be safe over there. I'm on the board of the Event Safety Alliance. Hey, presto, another job. No salary.
Of course. So what would you, you might have kind of answered this already, but what would you say is the kind of mission and the purpose of the PSA? Why do you exist?
Well, here's the thing. There's a lovely guy, and I won't name him because I went to see him, and he ran a company, and he spent basically 2 hours of both of our time not wanting to part with the 425 quid plus VAT for his company to join the PSA. He took me out for lunch, soup and a sandwich in a local cafe. It wasn't anything, no Chateaubriand around the corner at some posh restaurant. But he said to me, well, the thing is about the PSA, you see, I get on with what directly affects my business. I just get on with, I buy speakers, I rent speakers, and I send invoices. And I just like to get on with that. Whereas, why should I be interested in you? Because you get on with the things that indirectly affect my business. And I said, thank you for that. That's a great explanation of what we do.
Yeah.
You know, you, as if you're a freelancer, you want to find some work, you want to do the work, you want to send a bill, and while that's all winding down, you want to be finding the next gig and working out how you get there and thinking, how do I get home and wash my underwear before I turn around and go out again?
Yeah.
You know, that is what you want to get on with. But indirectly, there are people that are going to, you know, change the rules about, you know, there's safety rules like the noise at work regulations or work at height regulations or CDM regulations. That's all going to change and just affect the way you work.
Yeah.
Tax legislation, that's changing. You know, making tax digital is
Yeah.
a change in tax legislation, and we've got to make sure that people understand it and B, you know, cope with it or manage it in a positive way. So that's what we do. We go out, and this is the really difficult, and you know, feel sorry for me, but this is the really difficult thing that every trade association has to deal with, is that if you see a problem coming and you can talk to the people who are going to create that problem, you can go to them and say, look, this industry is worth this much money.
Yeah.
And if you do that, it'll be worth less. But if you do that, it'll be worth more.
Yeah.
So please don't do that, because it'll be a bad thing. And you don't need to do that to us. And they say, oh yeah, sorry, we'll make that go away.
So you're kind of representing the industry to people outside of it.
But you make something go away, and you can't issue a press release saying something didn't happen.
No.
Because of us, you know, you can't prove that was going to happen. You know, if you actually, you know, if it becomes a problem and you make the problem go away, yeah, fine.
Yeah.
But if you just make a problem go away before it becomes a problem, it's not really anything to shout about, because you can't really shout about the problem, because the people who are going to create the problem, you don't want to embarrass them.
Yeah.
So in that respect, it can be quite challenging for all trade associations to communicate what they're doing, because you can't see what they're doing, because what they're doing hasn't happened.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's difficult. So what you try and do as a trade association, you try and make things go away. The second stage, if you can't make it go away, you make it as small a problem as possible. And the third stage is you help people cope. So, you know, the big thing in health and safety was the construction design and management regulations. So the industry, us included, we spoke with the health and safety executive. The health and safety executive got a great understanding of how we work. We gave them, you know, we always talk about how we work and how they work. And at the end of the day, it had to happen, but we just made it manageable. And we advised people on how to deal with it, and people are just dealing with it now.
Which allows companies to rent speakers, install speakers, send an invoice, and then worry about it.
That's the thing, and that's all you need to do is, you know, you just need to. So we help people deal with change as well, a little bit of change management. But all that's, you know, there's big change coming up. Brexit, it's going to be huge.
Yeah,
it's going to be a huge change.
We won't go into that on too much detail, because we haven't got long.
Let's avoid
that one. So what's your role and what's your background? How did you end up doing what you're doing now?
My role, I'm the general manager. So I'm the only full-time employee. I've got Liz, who works in the office part-time and does a lot of membership management and that kind of stuff. But I'm the full-time employee. I have 14 bosses, which is called the council. So like any good trade association and any not-for-profit, as we are, there is a council of management which is elected by the members, and it sort of rotates once a year. So I basically meet with the council regularly and say, here's what's coming up, here's what I've done, what do we do next, help. And they send me off and tell me to do things. Sometimes I go back and say, tell me to do this, and I'll go and do it.
Go and do it.
So, and it can get a little bit difficult. You do, you know, it's a challenge for anybody who's, you know, got that many bosses that you kind of run away and do things and then just do a little bit too much before you've gone back to check. It's all right to do that, you know. And it's so you do, you know, I'm an enthusiast. When it comes to live production, you know, I mean, my background is I sold advertising for a magazine.
Really?
But I actually owned a bit of the magazine at the time. But you know, I was the co-founder of TPI, Total Production magazine.
Okay.
And so I got to know a lot of people, and I wasn't, I wasn't one of the people who kind of like, I just sell advertising for a magazine.
No,
Kind
no.
of like,
You just got to
I
know it.
wove myself in,
And
and communication is what, that, when you publish a magazine, you're in communication. And I just got asked I just got asked, do you want to come work for the PSA? There needs to be a bit of a turnaround in its fortunes. I fancied a little project like that. So, and we turned around its fortunes together. We got it reinvigorated. And basically it was a question of just communicating. And that's come to the fore now. Getting messages and information out to people, and getting our needs as an industry communicated into government and to those that influence government as well. So it's a two-way communication thing. We work really well together for the past sort of decade or so, when these three kind of like separate pillars of the industry that have their umbrella groups. We've been involved with those groups, a couple of them since they were formed, the Events Industry Forum and Live, and BVEP very soon after they were formed, just to communicate. They all sell the industry to government, and they all sell the industry, say this is a great industry, and I have to sit there and say, and production is really, really important part of it, because in the UK, we've got people of world repute within our ranks.
Yeah, absolutely.
We are. I'm going to say it. We're the best at it. Some people.
Which is why we work all around the world.
Yeah. The export value of just one person, going on tour around the world and bringing the wages back.
Yeah.
Just imagine, and then spend it. Because you go on a world tour with a band. And you're working for an agent in each different territory, so that you're getting paid money from that country and bringing it into this country. You are an export, and you should really, we make more of that than you would imagine.
Yeah, absolutely. Which has been highlighted over the last few months, really, in multiple times, what value the events industry has.
Yeah, absolutely.
So obviously, you're all about members, and you're all about membership. Why should a company? Well, let's start with companies first. Why do companies become members of PSA? What benefits do you get as a company for being a member?
Well, I always like to think that the priority sales point is the fact that you need a trade association to represent your piece of the industry, and we are it. And you just need a voice. When I started in this job, and the PSA wasn't in a good position, I said to a lot of the company members who's just been allowed, their memberships have been allowed to lapse, I said, well, look, we could just stop it. I don't mind. We could just, if you say we don't need it, we'll stop it. But I guarantee that within the next 2 years, something will happen, and somebody will say, you know what we need to do?
We need an association.
We need to form a trade association. Even like at the start of this crisis, when the PSA was formed before Facebook. It hasn't got as much money as Facebook, but Facebook groups started to emerge as this crisis started, and everybody was saying, "Oh, we should make this official and turn this into a trade association." And it's like, okay, well, that's really hard work, especially in times of crisis. But go ahead, But it already existed, so it was a case in point that people feel the need to get together in times of disaster. But the really hard thing is getting it together.
Yeah, absolutely.
So get involved in something that's already together.
Yeah, there's a number of different formats of people getting together over the last 6 months or so. But
So in terms of companies, okay, we say it would be good to have everybody under one roof, and then we can speak as a united voice through all normal times, but in terms of catastrophe, in times of catastrophe, we've already got the voice, and we can, we've already been talking to the Department of Culture, Media and Sport, our sponsoring department. I was talking to them about this in February.
About
COVID. Yeah, Andy, what are you all doing about this thing in China?
Right.
Because it's starting to affect overseas tools and things like that. And I was like, well, right now we're just doing what we're told because we're production.
Yeah,
And we do what we're told, you know. And then people started getting sent home, and it was like, okay, this is getting more serious. And literally, like, you know, ministerial roundtable started, and I was just thinking, this is more serious than ever, because, you know, this isn't a 6 monthly get together with a glass of wine. This is like proper meeting sort of thing. So, you know, but that's why people should join. But in better times, you know, people will pay their membership, and you know, companies can get access to our business support line. Let's not forget that, you know, the majority of the businesses in our sector are SMEs. Some people who've accidentally started a business when they realize they've bought too many desks and lights, you know how it is, and it grows, and then it's like, oh, I've got employees. And so you're in a business and you don't have an HR person, but we've got a support line that you can phone up if you need to know about HR or contract law or tax legislation, all those kind of things. So it's just an over the phone service. It's free, and the advice that comes back to you is free. That's backed up by a library of business template documents. So if you need to write an HR policy, if you write a letter of appointment, or if you write a quote or whatever, there's just a template. So you're not starting with a blank sheet of paper. And that can lead to discounted services from the people who provide that to us. They also provide a really good priced service. So if you do find the need to have somebody who does HR, but you don't need an HR manager, that person who does HR can have an online HR sort of management system that they can subscribe to at a discount,
which is at a discounted rate.
Remember, so there are tools there, and it's all about, you know, the things, the generic business things that aren't the function of the business. You know, because you know about what console to buy, you know about what light you need, and you know about where to get the finance for that, but probably you don't know about how do I do a letter of appointment for the person in the warehouse, and where's my health and safety plan, and how do I write that. So we just give people the tools to help them grow as businesses. And this is for individuals as well as company members.
Well, that was going to be my next question, really, because obviously our audience is predominantly freelancers, and that's what we're interested in. And we know that you're doing a lot for freelancers, and just so as a freelancer, why should you join the PSA, and what do you get from being a member of the PSA as a freelancer? A
lot of people join the PSA as self-employed people because of a thing called crew cover, which is a pretty good insurance policy, public liability insurance policy from Precision Broking that we help them to devise. You know, cover specifically for the work you do as crew, and that basically includes membership in the price. That's not a reason to join, apart from the fact that it's for members, but membership is included in the price. And the reason for that is, if you think about it, if somebody needs insurance because they've got a gig that starts tomorrow and they've been waiting for a gig before they start their insurance, you don't want to be phoning me up to get your membership, to get your number, so you can then phone them up to get a discount. What you want to be doing is going online, getting your insurance, and dealing with the PSA membership stuff afterwards. So it's an online application process. They issue documents straight away, so you can then send the documents to the people you're going to be working for. Everything's sorted. And then we sort of like import it into our system, and you become a member. And when you become a member, you know, individuals are businesses as well. And you might need some little bits of help on the business support line. People have phoned it and been coached through how to chase late money and that kind of stuff. So that helps. But also on top of that service, we have a thing called PS Editions, which is basically it's you know, we've got a lot of numbers. So we subscribe to another service which adds loads of trade associations together, and they get deals at high street retailers and business suppliers and mobile phones and gas and electricity, shopping at the supermarket, cinemas, gyms when they open back up again. I'll be there. Maybe a week off, another week. So we've got all those, you can't list them all, you know, but you know, discounts on Apple products, amazingly, 3%, you know.
Wow.
Go Apple. Why do you think we've got that behind me? So all of those things basically add up to, you can actually save what you spent on your insurance by getting the discounts from the PS editions thing. We're trying to start some sort of like virtuous circle thing going on there.
Yeah.
It's no Ponzi scheme. It's no pyramid scheme. It's not like it's not a sort of like this week's offer is. They are pretty much permanent offers.
Yeah.
So that's the way we do it. So we do try and have that aid the cost benefit analysis. Money's out that way, money comes back in that way. I get discounts.
So as well as saving the money, there's the support services as well, so they can come to you if they're struggling.
Yeah, and it is being part of something bigger as well. It actually does look good to have an association badge on your website or your business card or whatever. And we look out to the future. I mean, one thing that that's coming in the future for self-employed people that they will have forgotten about because nobody's sending any invoices. It's going to be a really easy tax return this year for a lot of people, and that's one of
the few positives.
Yeah, and it's not a positive. It's just not. It's not funny. It's serious. But it's what's happened is people have forgotten that next year and beyond, making tax digital is going to be a thing, and you're going to have to submit your tax information online, and eventually people will have to submit their tax records online quarterly.
Yeah.
But we're talking to a provider. They're working up. There are some providers that realize that, and some of the online accounting providers are. One's put together a free service for sole trader, self-employed people.
Okay.
So that they can actually just use that service to put stuff online and maybe squirt it up to the HMRC quarterly, but then pay if you want to get your tax return done at the end of the year. And it won't be very expensive because you will have already put all your information in online anyway. So it's a case of everybody is going to have to up their self-discipline a little bit more and put everything in, on a regular basis. But we're trying to find the people who will help them do that. And, it's a case of we can't stop it, but we can find a better way of coping with it.
And actually help people to cope with it when it happens.
Yeah, that's the thing. And it's kind of what you should be doing already. You should have it all sort of like sorted out so that the taxman could walk through your door now, and your records would be in shape. Because we're all like that, aren't we?
Well, I know if you walk through my door, my records would all be in shape. But then I'm a bit like that. But I know what we've discovered over the last 6 months, talking to more and more people, is that a lot of people don't work like that. And it is becoming more important to be like
people who missed out on self-employment income support because they hadn't done their tax return yet.
People have learned so much about running a business as a freelancer, which no one had a reason to before. It's become massively important.
Everybody's so busy not being busy. It's a really weird thing.
It is. So finally, when we were talking earlier, you mentioned a couple of things that are going on to raise, and I can see the Stagehand logo or Stagehand URL at the back.
Donate now.
What are you doing around kind of fundraising and pulling together some money to help?
Well, I mean,
in the industry?
There's a couple of well-known facts. I mean, it's a well-known fact that we are a mainly self-employed workforce, and it's a well-known fact that a lot of self-employed people have fallen in these massive chasms in the support that Rishi Sunak still hasn't. He still hasn't filled in the gaps. So it's people who have earned more than £50,000 a year. Penalising people for being successful. That's nice. That's really non-conservative thing to do, but also the people who recently self-employed or people who work on the reasons people have fallen between the gaps, and even people who've earned on average £80,000 a year for the last 3 years, how are their savings doing 6 months later? So we reacted to that. We have a charity called Stagehand. It was founded 22 years ago, and it's a little welfare fund that helps people out if they get ill or injured. And we've got a bunch, I'm one of the trustees, there's half a dozen of us. And we always say, well, if it all went wrong, we could turn to, if it went badly wrong, we could probably just turn to the artists that we all know and love and do a benefit show.
Yeah.
It's like, apart from if
Yeah.
there's a global pandemic and you can't put people in the same room. So we basically, once it got to the point where it looked like self-employment support was ending, we decided that we'd have to start a crew relief fund. Fortunately, self-employment support, that's where the logo disappears on the screensaver as soon as I start talking about it.
Perfect.
So that's rewind, guys. The crew relief fund was designed to start as things started ending, like, the end of furlough, more redundancy, that kind of. Thankfully, the support was extended last minute, so all those people got a reprieve. So we can now focus on the people who, are still languishing on universal credit, savings running out, that kind of stuff. And we started to raise money. So we've got, already we've started one round of funding. We've given 500 quid grants out to about 280 people. And that's round one. We raised 230 grand. We're getting grants out to people. Round two starts for applications early December. We've raised money. PPL gave us a grant of £100,000. We've had grants from Universal Music and Sony Music. So Warner's, are you watching? It's your turn. We've had some acts, band managers, promoters, agents. We had a really generous donation, and I don't know, he doesn't want too much publicity, so I'll just say SJM. Thank you. And so we've had some really generous support from a lot of people. So there's a fund there that will be open for applications from people who have had the least support. So we can help them out with 500, and it's not like just one round. We'll try and do one round. We're paying out some now, open up in December. Once the next round's done, we'll try and open the next round a little bit quicker, so we can have 4 or 5 rounds of £500 payments to people to see them through the lean patch. We've got fundraising. We've got a huge ilovelive.co.uk, a massive prize draw with some amazing prizes from, we've got a guitar, ilovelive.co.uk, and it's, we've got a guitar from Eric Clapton, one from Mark Knopfler, we've got a synth from the Chemical Brothers, we've got a synthesizer from Gary Newman, we've got experiences with bands and set pieces from bands that fans can basically enter a prize draw, and with all those bands are going to put it out on their socials for their individual prize draw. We're hoping to raise a lot of money from that. We've also got an artist who's doing a live stream gig, and one of the charities she's chosen to benefit is Stagehand. So we've got plenty of opportunities to get money in, and this is the industry reaching out. These are record companies and labels and rights owners and bands that are actually people saying, why aren't the bands helping? Well, let me tell you, they are.
Now they are.
A lot of bands are paying. That a large rock act that we spoke to said, you do realize that we did actually pay all our crew for the tour we didn't do.
We cancelled,
so there's a lot of that about. So those that can, but that's only the top couple of percent.
Those that can
actually, those that can really, they have. So that's dead cool. So we got that crew relief fund is online, and it's working now. So stagehand.org.uk is where crew can look. If you are, if you've had less than maximum support from the self-employment income support scheme, we have to cap it at a certain level. But under, if you've had negligible support, or if you're on universal credit, because that's the harshest means testing going. So why should we be any harsher? So if you're getting that, you're probably in with a shout at getting a grant from. And we're not the only relief fund out there. I think Backup have got one going as well. So we can people can move from pillar to post and scrape things together. But I had an email, and I can't say this without getting choked up sometimes. But we got an email from somebody. She's a stage manager, and she just said, "Thank you. I woke up this morning. I've got 8 quid to my name, and I cried." And then your 500 quid landed. And I can see my way to the end of the month now, because this was at the start of the month, and it's just like
makes all the difference.
And you kind of you feel good about that, because people talk about privilege, well, it's a privilege to be able to do that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
That's what privilege is all about. So the fact that the fund was there, it's weird. The fact that trade associations were there, and people thinking, oh, we need to start a trade association in disaster. That fund was there at the beginning, but a couple of people have thought, oh, we need to start a fund. And we said, well, there is already one, but people still do it. But what the hell? Everybody wants to do something to try and help.
And that's the thing, is there's a lot of people sitting around thinking I need to do something. And
you cannot stop people, because it just like it blows your brain up.
Yeah.
You know, the strain on people's mental well-being is a difficult one. You know, one more advantage of raising this money is that we can demonstrate that musicians are reaching out to help.
Yeah.
And that's not just for the people who need the money. It's the people who are okay, but they think that the industry's been abandoned by certain sectors. Well, it hasn't, by the musicians. So those people can get to know that that's happening. And you know, we're talking about musicians here and live music, but we are using the money to help out people in the wider membership and event sector. It's not just members as well. I've got to point that out.
So Stagehand is not just a PSA thing for PSA.
No. It's people who work in live events who've been left out of government support, and we can just chip in as much as we possibly can. We'll scrape it in and throw it out there, because there is absolutely no point in money being in our account. We have to show some, you know, you have to apply, we have to show due diligence, we have to check the applications, we have to do all the stuff that a charity would normally have to do. But the overarching thing is there is no point in having that money in our bank account. You know, nobody's on a salary. We're all volunteers doing it in spare time. So I've got to spend this weekend designing the application form for round 2. Thank you very much. I wasn't going to do anything anyway. So, you know, it's all hands to the pump. You know, we have to, we have to sort of like get people through. So it's a case of hang on in there.
So I guess if people are interested in joining the PSA, they just go to the website to find out more.
They just go to psa.org.uk, or if it's through their insurance, crewcover.com. Don't join us and then sign up for crew cover. You do it the other way around, because it's included in their price. And yeah, just climb aboard, and we'll, if you can't join now, think about us later. You know, we are here running on air for as long as we possibly can, and that's at least another year. You know, we're set up to step up, and we're doing that. So we'll still be around.
Brilliant. Andy Lenthall, thank you very much.
Steve, it's a pleasure.
Event freelancers, welcome to your new community, connecting you to your next project. Get connected. Sign up now. It's free.